Hey, Pups here! This is part of the series where I take characters that I like across multiple different forms of media and turn them into adorable little cookies. Today we're going to be doing Poppy Playtime, so just sit back and enjoy.
Whee!
First up is the player. Now, the player in Poppy Playtime, which I'm taking from Project Playtime, is already so simple by design that I honestly wasn't really sure what to do with it. I knew that most of the changes were going to be in the grab pack. I tried to make them look a little bit more candy-like, so like some of the little frosting, little like peppermint strips, I thought it was really cute. And then the hands themselves are made of some kind of like gummy material. Reminded me of those little, slappy hand toys that you get where like you sling them and they like stick to the walls and stuff. And you can't really tell it explicitly from the art, but I was also thinking about other unique headed cookies that we have, such as Candy Diver, and I had the thought that maybe the player's head is a jawbreaker. They're very stubborn, they're hard to break, like it doesn't matter what challenge you throw at them, they just keep on going and surviving. And in this world of horrors, I think it helped me that the design was so simple, because this is the first time that I've really tried to emulate the cookie run art aesthetic, This was really good practice for me. And also, fun fact, my computer is down right now, so I'm doing this not only on somebody else's computer, but with software that I don't normally use. Not only was I trying to learn the style, but I'm also trying to learn the software at the same time. So that is one thing that you're going to see with the drawings in this video, is my process was really messy compared to how it normally would be. And that was because I don't have all of the tools and features that I'm used to having in my art program. So I had to figure out what else can I do? What are the workarounds? And for what it's worth, I do think that these projects were really fun, very creative, and really paving the way for the more detailed characters that I want to do. I really started studying the cookie run style, and there's not really a lot of shading, if I'm being honest. There's some highlights on the edge. There's a lot of gradient colors, but there's not really a lot of shadows or anything. With each of these designs, you will see that improve, but for what it's worth, I was really happy with this first one. He's really cute, really simple. I love the hand cannon idea, but I've yapped enough. We gotta get back to the cookie, guys. Say hello to Gummy Hand Cookie. Their basic attack is a 3-slap combo. Their charge attack swipes their hand in a fan motion in front of them. For their special, they will shoot out a hand and pull down a Playtime code crate from the sky, which will land and deal damage in a circular area. And they switch between 3 different hands, and depending on which one that they have equipped at the time will change their ultimate. The green hand will cause a small radius of damage and stun any enemies for several seconds. The purple hand will send the player up into the sky as pipes of freezing gas attack enemies multiple times, slowing their attack and movement speed. And the flare hand, which does the most damage, with the caveat that it's an overtime burning effect. I thought this was a really neat mechanic because it pays respects to each of the Poppy Playtime chapters, and instead of using moves as soon as they're ready, the player actually has to strategize and think about which suits their situation best. And like every other cookie, I haven't really thought about what artifact that they would have. If you have any ideas, put them in the comment section down below and I would love to read them. Now moving on to Huggy Wuggy and Kissy Missy. I was thinking okay, blue and pink, why not cotton candy? But then I was I have other characters already planned out that are going to be cotton candy themed, and I really don't want to overuse it, So I thought of different things that I could do, and the thought came to mind of a slushie, right? Because you can get slushies in blue raspberry flavor, pink lemonade flavor. And then I also thought it was really cute to have a little straw coming out of their head. At first, in the original design, which I put up on the screen, it was just a normal striped straw. But then I got thinking about it, and I remember whenever I was younger, there were these straws that looked like little scoops. And I'm why not make it a scoop straw? I was thinking about, whenever you get a snow cone, all of your flavoring dye, whatever unhealthy concoction that is, starts to like fall down into your cup. It just leaves you with white ice at the top that's like bland and flavorless. Yeah. That was the thought of edging them in white, is all their flavor is pooling to the middle. Now, mechanically, these are a little bit interesting because obviously they're not cookies. And I mean, in Poppy Playtime, they are NPCs, so I thought to kind of like bring that idea in a little bit of them being like boss monsters, or if you've played Cookie Run Kingdom, every now and then you get the little dragon that helps you on your side, like a helpful NPC. Huggy being a boss monster that you have to fight, and then Kissy being an assisting NPC on your side. As I was thinking about it, I feel like Kissy would increase movement speed and then buff amplification and debuff amplification. So instead of being directly involved in the fighting, she's sort of just improving your ability to support yourself during that fight. And I think that really suits Kissy Missy because in the games, she is never directly involved in any kind of fighting. And I love Kissy Missy, guys. Kissy Missy are beloved. Now, Huggy would definitely be a powerful boss. I don't know if he'd be like a champion raid boss or anything crazy like that. I don't want to spoil chapter 4, but I mean, at this point, you all probably know that Huggy Wuggy comes back. Yay! So I think it would be really interesting if he had the mechanic of actually have to like kill him twice. I didn't think about his moves a whole lot. He's gonna kick and bite and scream and do whatever he can. Like, he doesn't really give me the vibes of somebody who's like very calculated in their attack, like he just knows he's better and he's gonna rip your head off. They're just silly little guys. Saving the best for last. Poppy is definitely the one that I was the most proud of, both design-wise, and I was starting to learn the process a little bit better on the software, so I feel like it went a lot more efficiently. Now, the thought for Poppy is that she's like this perfect doll that everybody wants, everybody looks up to, like she is the perfect toy, or in this case, cookie. Practically perfect in every way, but a lot more smaller and sinister than good old Mary Poppins. With that in mind, I did have this funny thought that she would actually really hate the curl in the middle because it's the only non-symmetric thing about her. Like, I don't know how many anime freaks we have out there, but in Soul Eater, Death the Kid, how he cannot stand that like one side of his hair has stripes and the other doesn't. That is the kind of predicament that poor old Poppy here is having. Also, she doesn't really strike me as somebody that's a big fighter or anything. Like, obviously, she has some kind of big secret that everybody wants, but she is not a fighter. Like, she's literally a doll and, very fragile, so she doesn't want to get into fight. She's more meant to, like, look pretty and be dolled up and played with gently, and sort of be like a companion for children. But she also is a little bit questionable. We don't really know if she's like a quote-unquote good or bad guy yet, and the namesake of the games, so I am looking forward to learning more about her. But as far as cookies go, as I'm looking back on this process, I can see many places where I kind of like went a little too hard, quote-unquote, but I do really like how perfect she looks, if that makes sense. Everything is symmetric, everything is flawless, and I really like that look on her. Like, even though I did go a little bit hard, I feel like I did it for the right reason. Coloring her was a lot of fun too. At first, going to make her eyelashes white because that is a very common thing in Cookie Run, but then I'm like, if her dough is also white, you won't really be able to see it, so I decided to make them black, and I tweaked around some of the other colors so that they would contrast a little bit better. The other thing that I need to work on, but I think I did a lot better on this drawing, is coloring the lines. I would say I'm very much a traditional artist overall, and I tend to make my digital art mirror my traditional art, so I'm very used to just using black for my lines, and so this idea of like, going back and like changing the line color was very fun and different for me. And I'm looking forward actually to whenever I can get my other software back, because you can paint in vector layers, and Vectors are a lot easier when it comes to coloring your lines because you can actually change the color of the line, especially in places where there's a lot of overlap. You don't have to worry about coloring the wrong thing. But for what I had, I am very proud of this. I love how the curls came out. It's a lot simpler than the one that I had traditionally, which I'll put up on the screen. But it feels a lot more like Cookie Runny, if that makes sense. This is Porcelain Frill Cookie. She is a Dark Assist support. Her basic attack heals everyone within a certain radius around her. And then if you charge it, the radius is a little bit wider and the heal is a little bit stronger. I had the thought that even though she doesn't fight, she's very inspiring. Her special would grant a full team shield, and if that shield is destroyed, that player gets a pretty substantial attack buff. And I think that this could also encourage a different playstyle of like, oh, I'm shielded, I have to stay in the fight because if I stay in the fight, I get stronger. And I think that's a really fun mechanic that also fits Poppy's idea of, being a leader. Now, I did decide that her ult should be a damaging move because as we said earlier, Poppy is hiding something and we really don't know what she's capable of. So I thought it'd be cool if her ult was like this giant poppy flower that grew up on the field under her. And as long as enemies are on that flower, they get a pretty substantial damage over time. And also a very big resistance to all elements as long as they're standing on that flower. And that does it for this episode. If you would like to see more characters turned into cookies, check out this playlist here, and then YouTube thinks that you'll like this video. Have a blessed day, and keep being awesome. See ya!